What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to our latest episode of Combat Tips Season 3. As you all can see, today's video is going to be featuring one of our favorite OG leaders, Shao Kahn. Should there be any controls I say in today's video that don't entirely make sense to you, feel free to use this little conversion guide right here, and that will allow you to take whatever I say in any of these Brutality tutorials and translate them onto any console or platform currently featuring Mortal Kombat 11. As is tradition, folks, we're over here on the character customization screen, and that is to show you that as of this video's release date, there are currently 20 out of 20 finishers for Shao Kahn, which means today's video will feature 9 different brutalities. As you might expect, folks, we're going to be starting off with the Classic today, but if there's any particular brutality you've come here to learn for Shao Kahn, feel free to hop on down to either the description or the comments, where you can find timestamps to help you skip to any of the brutalities I feature in today's video. That said, let's get started. Alright, folks, so the Classic. Now, the first bit of the description here says, do not block an attack during the final round. Now, just to clarify, the final round itself can either be rounds 2 or 3. It's just whatever one you as a player are going to be victorious on. So you do not actually have to push to round 3. If you're going to win on round 2, that is your final round, so just keep on going for this brutality. Next up, all you really have to do is worry about finishing your opponent with an uppercut, which is down Y or down triangle, and make sure to hold either Y or triangle during that respective uppercut. Let me show you what this should look like. Alright, folks, so the uppercut, there's a reason they call it the Classic. All you gotta do is hold down and then push either Y or triangle on your respective controller, and boom, there's our uppercut. So as you guys can see here, I am actually on round 2, and this is going to be my victorious round, so my final round. But something I do want to clarify, that is, if you accidentally hit the block button like so long as you don't take damage, it will still work as a brutality, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you don't take damage while blocking, if you hit it by accident, maybe by reflex, as I sometimes do, as long as you don't take damage, the brutality will still work. Alrighty, folks, we're moving in for the finishing blow here. One more reminder, just make sure that during your final round, you do not block an attack. As I said earlier, if you happen to block by accident like this, as long as you don't take damage during that block, you can still do this brutality. And other than that, all you want to do is finish your opponent with an uppercut, which is down Y or down triangle, and make sure to hold either Y or triangle during that uppercut. Let's go for it, folks. Woof. Quick, right to the point. But as they say, it's a classic. On to the next one, folks. Alrighty, folks, so next up we have the Obliterated brutality. Now, this one is pretty straightforward, but it does have a very specific circumstance in which you must be under, and that is, you have to finish your opponent with a hammer lunge. However, they have to be blocking during that final hit, and they're not always going to initially die immediately. You might have to chip damage their health a little, but this will be easier shown than explained, so let's hop right into our example. So the hammer lunge is going to be down back B or down back circle, and it'll look, boom, just like that. Now, something to keep in mind with this move is you can actually adjust its position as you're performing it. So again, we'll do a normal hammer lunge, and I'll call that about medium distance. But if you do down back B or down back circle and then push backwards, as you can see, we'll actually do a close hammer lunge, and if we do down back B or down back circle and push forwards, we'll actually do a further hammer lunge, and that one actually hit the opponent. So just something to keep in mind. This could be very helpful if your opponent's moving around on the field. Sometimes just guesstimating where they're going to be and where you're going to land can always help you get a one-up on the opponent. Alright, folks, so we're going to move in for a final hit here, and one thing that has to be happening during that final hit is your opponent needs to be blocking. Now, as you can see, I'm up against myself, so we're going to employ my little gnome buddy here. I'm going to have him sit right there on the block button for us, and there we have it. Our opponent is now blocking. Now, again, we have to finish the opponent with that hammer lunge, but as you're going to see here, boom. They're taking very little damage, and I'm just going to keep wailing on them. We'll just keep wailing on them, knocking them down. And eventually, they're going to hit 1%, and you're just going to want to keep smashing in on them. Boom. As you can see, now they're on their last breath. They can only block so much. So as you can see, last breath, here we go. Boom. So just something to keep in mind. It may not initially kill them. Just keep bashing with that overhead lunge, and you're eventually going to smash through the defenses and just kill them. Again, once your opponent hits 1 HP, you can only hold out for so long. So keep that in mind. Don't give up. Keep smashing at them. and you may very well smash him into smithereens just like this. On to our next brutality, folks. Alright everybody, so next up is the Spiraling Out Brutality, and if you want to perform this one, you're going to want to make sure you have the Annihilation ability in your arsenal, so please do make sure you have that set up if you want to perform this one. Now as for our requirements, there's only two things we really have to worry about here. The first thing is the Mercy, and if you're not sure what a Mercy is, I'll demonstrate that in just a moment to you, but after you have performed that Mercy, you want to make sure that your final hit itself comes from an amplified Annihilation. So let's get into this. I'll show you what all this should look like right now. So the Annihilation itself is going to be down back A or down back X, depending on your respective controller. And as you can see, boom, boom, boom. Beautiful move. If you don't have this in your arsenal, you're missing out. This is one of my favorite moves for Shao Kahn. But in our case, of course, we want to be using the amplified version. So that's going to be down back A or down back X. And then you want to push your respective enhance button, which is either going to be R1 or right button. And that should look like that right there. Boom. And you'll knock them far off in the distance with that spear jab. So here we go. Let's do that one more time. This is what an amplified Annihilation should look like. Boom. There we have it. And whack. Very powerful. Very awesome move. Let's move on to our Mercy. Now, a Mercy. If you don't already know what that is, it is essentially the ability to give your opponent back about 20% of their health after you have beaten them onto the finish him screen. Now, why would you do this? Because A, you know you're going to beat them up again anyways and just humiliate them further, or B, because you want to perform a brutality like this one here. So there's 3 steps to doing this Mercy. Step 1, we want to get to about medium distance. If you ask me, that's about right here, but if you're not comfortable measuring yourself, you can get right up against the opponent and do 2 back dashes. That's back, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. Easy enough, folks, and that'll put you at medium distance. And again, that's only, you don't have to do that. That's just if you're not comfortable getting to medium distance on your own. This is a surefire way to measure up and do it easily. Step 2, we're going to want to be holding the flip stance button, which is usually going to be left trigger or L2. And as you can see here, boom, while you're holding that, your character will flip stance. Now, boom. So make sure you hold that down at medium distance, and you're already good for step 1 and 2. So step 3 here, we're standing at medium distance, holding our flip stance button, and now we want to push down 3 times very quickly. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Once you've done that, you can let go of the flip stance button, and if you put them together all properly, you will get your Mercy. But let me give you a real-time example right now. So here we go. Let's move in for the finish him, and then we do 2 back dashes just because we can. There we go, at medium distance, hold our flip stance, 1, 2, 3, let go. And there we have it, folks. That is our Mercy. Now that we have successfully performed that Mercy, folks, all we got to do is finish the opponent with an amplified Annihilation. Let's go for it right now. Boom, boom. This one is one that always makes me laugh, and yet it's so gruesome. It's the perfect combination of the two. It's what makes this game so much fun, if you ask me. The perfect blend of humor and violence. It's just so comical. It's really the only place you can find its own style like this. But I digress. On to our next brutality. Alright everybody, so next up is the Charging Through Brutality. Now this one will require that you have less than 40% of your health remaining when you go to perform it, and the actual move you want to perform in itself should be the shoulder charge, and you want to hold forward during that initial shoulder charge as well. So just keep all those things in mind, but let me give you an example right now. Alrighty folks, so the shoulder charge is a very famous Shao Kahn move. This is going to be back forward A or back forward X, and it should look boom, just like that. Alrighty folks, as you can see, my health is well below the 40% here. If you need to, you can go into the options and turn on extra statistics for your health bars, but just make sure that you are well below the 40% mark, which in this case I would say is about 400, 420 HP between there. Make sure you're well below that at about 350 or lower is a good safe zone if you ask me, but just try and keep it low. If you can get to the fatal blow zone like I am right now, you're well below 30% even. So if you want to be safe, go ahead, just only risk it as much as you're comfortable with. Alrighty folks, here we are moving in for the final strike. One more reminder, make sure you have less than 40% of your HP, and then just finish your opponent with the shoulder charge while holding the forward direction. Let's go for it. Boom. Love it. And you split right down the middle. I think that's a really cool one. It's a nice risk and reward. It's just it's brutal, it's quick, and it gives a classic move a new twist, so I like it if you ask me. Alrighty folks, so next up is the Going Hammer Brutality. Now this one will require that you have the taunt-based abilities in your arsenal, so do make sure you have this move right here set up if you want to perform this particular brutality. Let's move on to it. Now the requirements for this brutality ask that we either land 3 humiliates or 3 ridicules during the match. As far as I know, you can do a combination of both, and then you want to make sure your final hit itself comes from a back throw. So let's hop right into it. Alrighty folks, so we have 2 moves here, Ridicule and Humiliate. Let's start with Ridicule, and essentially this is going to be down forward left trigger or down forward L2, and that should look just like that. Your opponent will glow, and this particular buff will lower the amount of damage the opponent does to you. Now Humiliate is going to be down back left trigger or down back L2, and that'll look just like that, and again, the opponent will glow, but instead this time their resistance will drop, meaning they take more damage. So just keep the difference between these two in mind, because for all you know, it could help you tilt the battle in your advantage and just get this brutality going all the more easier. Alrighty folks, so here we go. Let's do one more Humiliate, one more Ridicule, and yet another Humiliate, and there we go folks. That is our 3 taunts we need to do for the requirements of this brutality. Alrighty folks, so back throw, very straightforward. You can just tap L1 or left button, and as you can see here, boom, even if you don't push in any direction, it'll always default to a back throw. Alternatively, you can also push X and A or square and X at the same time for a more arcade style button combo. And there you go folks, that is yet another back throw. Alright folks, so now that we have ridiculed and humiliated our opponents 3 times, and we know how to perform our back throw, let's move in for our final strike here. Gonna tap that L1 button like so, and boom folks. Oh. Ooh. That fly just got swatted. Love it. I mean, you expect a lot of carnage from Shao Kahn, and so far, they deliver pretty well. On to the next brutality. Alright folks, so next up is Croquet. Now, this one really only requires you to finish your opponent with a towards throw, and while that's happening, just push down 3 times during the animation. Let's get into it. Now, just as I explained with the last brutality, a throw is very straightforward. All you have to do is either tap L1 or left button. In this case, however, we want to hold forward as well. So here we go, tapping L1 while pushing forward, and boom, there's our forward throw. So just keep that in mind, and the same of course works with the square and X or the X and A arcade style buttons. As long as you're moving forward, boom, 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 there's our forward throw. Easy enough. Alrighty folks, so here we are, moving in for that brutality. Again, all we gotta do is finish our opponent with a towards or forwards throw, whichever you prefer, and just push down 3 times, very quick during that animation. Let's go for it. Down, down, down. Oh, and get the heads going up. That was a good one. Again, I can't complain, even just with that hammer going in action all the time. I love Shao Kahn's brutalities. They're very good. On to our next one. Alright folks, so next up is the Head Kabob brutality. Now this one will require that you get the first hit during the match, and I'll show you how to know exactly if you got that after we get in there. But beyond that, you want to finish your opponent with the die combo, and while that's happening, you want to hold up during the final hit to make sure this brutality works. Let's get into it. So here we go, we're right at the start of the fight, and just to help you guys know how to confirm if you've gotten the first hit, we're going to look over here on the left. I'm going to hit the opponent, and boom, as you can see, we have the first hit props. If you see that, you already know you're well on your way to getting this brutality to work. It means you got the first hit, you're well set up. Alrighty folks, so the die combo, pretty straightforward. All you want to do is hit X, Y, and then X and A at the same time if you're using the Xbox. And if you're using a PlayStation, you're going to want to push square, triangle, and then square and X at the same time. And that should look like this. Boom, 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 kick. Oh, I love this combo, very well animated and very brutal. Alrighty folks, let's move in for that final strike here. Remember, if you want to perform this brutality, you have to have gotten the first hit props in this match. And beyond that, you just want to finish your opponent with the die combo while pushing up. Let's go for it, folks. Holding up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, oh man. I love this one. You give him the old head Kabob. Jeez. What can I say, you guys? Shao Kahn just keeps knocking it out of the park. On to the next one. Alrighty, folks, so next up is the Spoils of War Brutality, and this one will require that you have the Skewered ability in your arsenal, so as always, just make sure you have that set up if you want to perform this brutality. As for the requirements, pretty straightforward. You just have to hit with Skewered at least 3 times before you move in for that final blow, which of course has to come from yet another Skewered. Let me show you what this should look like right now. Alrighty, folks, so the Skewered ability, that is going to be down back X or down back square, and as you can see, boom, it's an upward jab, obviously an anti-air, so even if you're up against the opponent, it won't work, just keep that in mind. What we need, of course, is our opponent to go up, and then boom, just like that. So that is what a Skewered should look like. So here's a little tip for those of you who want it. This is by no means required to do the brutality, but it could very well help you perform it all the easier. Using the Will You Fail combo will actually give our opponent some air, so that is going to be forward Y and then X, or forward triangle and then square, and that'll look like boom, boom, that right there. And now we can transition into the Skewered from that move. So here we go, boom, boom, and then boom, pop. Easy enough, folks. This is a great way to rack up those 3 Skewered you need, and then you can also just really do a lot of damage with this combo if you ask me. Let's do it again, boom, boom, and boom. So there we go, we already have 2 of them racked up, boom, boom, and 3. All done, folks. Alrighty, folks, so let's move in for that final strike here, and as I said, all you need to do to perform this brutality is hit at least 3 Skewereds at any point throughout the match, and then you just have to finish your opponent with yet another one. I'm going to use the little combo tip I showed you to perform mine. Again, you don't have to do it. As long as you can perform the Skewered by itself, you're all good to go. But here we go, folks. Let's pull this off and get this move out of the way. Oh. To be honest, I don't really use that Dark Priest a lot, but I love how they incorporated it into this move. And again, Skewered is the type of move, I love anti-air moves, so this is the type of brutality I would see often and feel very gratified for. It's the greatest way to punish your opponent for trying to jump over your head and kick you in the noggin. But on to the next brutality, folks. Alright, everybody, so our last brutality for today is called Nothing Left. Now, this brutality will require that you have less than 30% of your health remaining, and then your final hit itself has to come from an amplified shoulder charge. And what it actually does not say directly in here is you want this to be a downwards amplified shoulder charge. So just keep that in mind. Let's get into our example right now. Alright, everybody, so we demonstrated the shoulder charge with one of our brutalities earlier, but let's just go over it again real quick. This is back forwards A or back forward X. Boom, there we go. But we, of course, want to use the amplified version, which means we want to push the R1 button or the right button on your respective controller after you've gotten this move going. So here we go, boom, and boom. Now, additionally, we also want to push down, because there are 2 amplified shoulder charges you can do with this one. The normal one we just did, as you saw, will knock the opponent up, and that is actually the incorrect one. When we do this amplification, when you push right button or R1, make sure to hold downwards. So here we go, folks. We're going to do that amplified shoulder charge while pushing downwards. Boom. And you'll notice that instead of arcing up, the swing goes downwards and knocks the opponent into the ground. That's what we're looking for with this brutality. Not the upwards cut, the downwards cut. So just keep that in mind. Let's go over it one more time real quick. Shoulder charge, amplified, while pushing downwards. Boom, boom. Easy. Alrighty, folks, so just keep in mind, you need less than 30% of your health remaining to perform this brutality. As you can see, I'm at about 272 health out of 1,050. As long as you have your Fatal Blow, you should be good to go, because as long as that Fatal Blow is active, that usually means you're below 30% of your HP. So just keep that in mind. Let's move on to our final hit. Alright, everybody, let's move in for that final strike here. Remember, have less than 30% of your health remaining, usually, as you can see, indicated by that Fatal Blow being active, and then finish your opponent with that downwards amplified shoulder charge. Let's go for it right now. Finisher. Oh. There's something strange about this animation, if you ask me. It's almost like it's incomplete. It works, but it's like, it's almost like when he swings downwards, there's no actual, like, connection. You know what I mean? There's no actual reaction. They just kind of made her body go down and look like it got smacked. I don't know if it's just me. I'm still glad that it's there and that it exists. It's nice and bloody still, but I don't know. This one just looks a little weird for me. Go ahead and rewatch it yourself if you're, maybe you'll feel the same. But that's it for today. Let's move on to our closing words. Alrighty, folks, yet another successful combat tip episode, if you ask me. As always, I have a lot of fun recording these. It's really fun to be able to learn all these moves, collect all these moves, and just show them off and help you guys get a hang of them yourselves. I really appreciate you guys watching the videos. I got a lot of nice comments always coming in, so thank you very much for that. It's you folks who help this series stay alive and going. As always, if you enjoyed what you saw here today, feel free to leave me a like or a comment down below. Both are very much appreciated, though by no means necessary. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can find out exactly when more stuff like this goes live. As always, folks, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and hopefully we will catch you on the next combat tip tutorial video. Until then, stay safe, stay happy. Adios.